Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Intersections of Saccharum, the sweet spot where creativity thrives. We're your hub for discovering poetry and prose, all submitted to us by our incredible community. I'm Sylvia Kalina.
And I'm Joseph Kane. Sylvia and I merged our publications with a simple vision to write together, create compelling audio content, and foster a unique community for writers and artists alike.
This podcast is our experiment designed to be enjoyable, engaging, and genuinely thought-provoking. So we hope. We both sincerely thank you for joining us. All right, so for today, our second episode, we're really excited to read and review the poem submitted to us by Laura Catanzano. Catanzano? Hope I'm saying it right, Laura.
Sounds
Catanzano. Called Birds in Flight. And so we'll get right into it. And to start us off, Joseph will read us the poem.
I will try. Birds in flight. My arms spread wide, elongated limbs evolving web parts as if I could. Chest inflated, sight unburdened, memory of geese in flight. For all the times I've been buried alive, for all the crushingsomber, I relish this moment, head full with air, my lungs golden chariots, my feet oars. Albatross parting water, fluid exhibition of this life of living, as if I too might swim, as if I too could fly.
Great poem, Laura. And of course, Joseph. I loved the way you read it. A poem like this just feels good to let it sink in and settle for a few beats. The thing that I liked about it is it's very short and impactful. The stanzas are short. It's a quick read, but the message conveyed rewards us with something really meaningful. Sometimes with these shorter poems, they pack the heaviest punch, especially when written by really skilled poets. And there's the significance of the albatross in this poem as well, which I'm so super excited to talk about. In fact, so Laura sent us actually two poems to consider for this one. And for me, after I read it, Laura, I knew Birds in Flight was just an immediate yes. So
Yeah,
that's
we
where I
both
was.
chose this one.
Mm, mm,
The imagery in this one reminds me of drowning from life's existential dread, yet the metaphors explore the transformation of getting above water to then start flying and prospering. In the poem, Laura essentially transforms into an albatross, a formidable and triumphant creature. They're the largest bird in the animal kingdom, and they're monogamous, so they have a strong and healthy social bond. But they spend so much of their time alone, foraging and living their best lives, which reminds me of this idea of having a healthy detachment and being a strong, independent individual.
mm, mm, mm. So I wanted to start off by summarizing briefly that what I felt after reading this poem was freedom. And it felt like I knew how to really breathe, and I was able to really pull myself into this place to recall the rapture of standing in the sun uh, with my face in the breeze wrapping around me and just doing everything that the poem really beautifully illustrates in such short lines. The arms spread wide, embracing life, transforming or even transcending into a higher form of being was what really sat with me. And I think that in large part, it has to do with the way Laura structured the poem. She didn't do any capitalization. The blank space all around the shorter lines and words kind of allows you to take it slow if you choose, and essentially just breathe through every word as it inhabits and embodies the mind. And I know with enjambment, sometimes it means that you just immediately kind of run into the next line, into the next line, into the next line. But for this, it did the opposite for me just because of those shorter lines and all of the space. So it just really made me sit with each line that much more powerfully. Kind of really lets you enmesh yourself into the flow that Laura had when she wrote it.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
All right. So we'll start by breaking it down, and we are going to do this stanza by stanza, actually, even though they're short. I think each of them deserves its own little moment. So, my arms spread wide, elongated limbs, evolving webbed parts, as if I could. So I'm initially struck by how Laura opens the poem with these lines, showing us elements of evoking a sort of stream of consciousness feeling. The immediate physical sensations and the fragmented aspirations of as if I could sends us into a direct channel of Laura's emerging thoughts and desires and captures a moment of raw unfolding consciousness to me. Had the lines been punctuated or more fully structured in the initial opening, I think I would have felt a little bit different, but it really felt more stream of consciousness for me. Let me go on to my arms spread wide. It's a very primal, almost instinctive gesture of reaching, embracing, and mirroring a bird taking off in flight or being in flight. This immediate physical connection is what sets the stage for the poem's main metaphor. And then I think the word choice of evolving is unique because it suggests more of an organic sort of transformation, not just a sudden and immediate or magical type of change. Then I wanted to point out how moving to webbed parts is intriguing because while wings are the obvious association for flying, the introduction of webbed suggests an aquatic connection hinting at the duality of movement and freedom in both air and water, which is foreshadowing of what's to come later in the poem. And then to go back to the fragmented line of as if I could, it feels like a sort of whispered aspiration or desire that is felt by maybe not fully yet realizing or believing that uncertainty that adds a layer of vulnerability to the whole outlining longing that Laura shares with us.
Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty amazing what a couple words can make you think.
Yeah.
So, yeah, stanza 2, I will take over. Chest inflated, sight unburdened, memory of geese in flight. So she, starting the stanza with chest inflated helps us take a deep, full breath as a physical manifestation of relief, empowerment, or maybe even courage. The chemical stuff that happens when you focus on your breath can take you out of your amygdala into your higher mind. Like when you focus fully on inflating your diaphragm and breathing in with your nose. It's amazing how much that can help you, when you're stressed out. Just breathe. Just breathe. It's a real thing. It's kind of amazing how we go through life like mouth breathing and stuff. And maybe that's part of why we're always stressed out anyways.
Well, and we just don't even think about breathing. So for Laura to hold us in this moment, I think is just really great.
Yeah, it's like a technique that you're taught in therapy and stuff, and it's pretty beautiful. Put it poetically. Anyway, so the next line, sight unburdened, acts as a shedding of past distortions or restrictions of her perception, allowing a clear view of her desired state, while memory of geese in flight is the inspiration or mental image or even the grace of the freedom that Laura is seeking to embody. The image of geese evokes a thought about having your goals and intentions aligned with your emotions, having a single point of focus to guide all the chaotic feelings one goes through. And the V formations of geese in their long migratory flights symbolize synergy, mutual support, leadership, efficiency, and purposeful movement.
Yeah, they're not just up there making pretty shapes.
They're teaching us something.
All right, stanza 3. For all the times I've been buried alive, for all that crushing, somber. I want to read that again too, because it's like reading it different ways takes in different meaning also. For all the times I've been buried alive, for all the crushing somber. That's a little more flowy. I like it broken down. I like to sit with it. So anyway, where stanza 3 is involved, it's the crucial context of Laura's desire for liberation being revealed. The words, for all the times I've been buried alive, are extremely powerful and raw. Buried alive, of course, is so deeply emotional. It's a metaphor for feeling trapped or where life is around you and still persisting, but on the other side of that coin, the movement feels restricted. It's likely speaking to the past state of feeling helpless or feeling out of control in utter despair. So we get this immense feeling that then culminates into the lines of, for all that crushing somber. Crushing being the action that's very physical and holds this emotional weight, emphasizing an overwhelming nature of past experiences, perhaps, most likely. And then somber, of course, is isolated in this line, which is just, for me, the weight of that word alone is a lot. And it signifies an exclamation here, I think, where Laura takes us down with her into the state of gloom and seriousness and the deep sadness or hurt that she was feeling. These feelings are definitely setting us up for what's driving her towards experiencing the triumph that we feel with her in the last two stanzas of the poem.
All right, so moving on to stanza 4. I relish this moment, head full with air, my lungs golden chariots, my feet oars. So this stanza marks the joyful turning point of the poem, and it's a deliberate embrace of happiness to relish this moment that contrasts the somber past. And a head full with air opposes a suffocating feeling of being buried alive, symbolizing mental clarity, lightness, and a revitalized spirit. Relating this stanza to the former gives a feeling of transformation and reminds one of the idea of small deaths of the ego, where we must shed the weight of the world's burdens in our minds in order to fly once more. And my lungs' golden chariots is a surreal metaphor suggesting that the very act of breathing has become divine because of the reference to gold, magnificent and radiant. This line brings to the forefront how abstract this poem really is. This use of symbolism to portray like a therapeutic thought, basically. Anyways, we shift from air to water with my feet oars expanding on the idea of freedom. Oars imply the ability to more strongly wade through the treacherous waters of the world. Treacherous.
I like the idea of lungs and a golden chariot.
Yeah, that's fucking amazing.
I love the visual of it.
That's my favorite line for sure.
All right, we'll move on to stanza 5. Albatross, parting water, fluid, exhibition of this life of living. Sounds so nice. I just want to pause every time I read it.
I like the idea of like the life of living is a cool distinction. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. All right, so here we get to the glorious image of the albatross parting water. The albatross. So fair warning, I'm a huge nerd. I love all little known facts, unknown facts, stupid trivia, all of this stuff, old knowledge, new knowledge, reimagined ideas, all of it. So I'm going to talk to you about the albatross. Yeah, but it's really significant in this poem. Like, it's fascinating to me. I actually really want to ask Laura if she knows about the albatross or if it was just, like, if with all the symbolism and the mythology that's attached to it, which we're going to get into, like, I'm just really curious how much of a nerd Laura is. Anyway, so let me get into it. I'm just going to read you some info. All right, so let's get into some facts about the fabulous albatross. It is most known for its extraordinary wingspan, boasting the largest of any living bird, often exceeding 11 feet, or 3.4 meters. Pelicans and condors are often in the same vicinity, but for context, we'll talk about the eagle's wingspan because everybody kind of can relate to that. It ranges from only around 5.5 feet, or 1.68 meters, to 8 feet, or 2.4 meters. So we're talking 11 to 5.5, 8 feet. It's a lot.
Pretty big.
Yeah, massive, actually.
Yeah.
The albatross is a master at soaring. It has what's called this ability to dynamic soar. and their wings actually lock into place, allowing them to glide over the oceans without ever having to flap their wings. They live up to 80% of their life at sea, flying thousands of miles and never touching land for months and sometimes even years. Years. Can you imagine? They return to land only to breed. Being on land is, though, very difficult for them due to their size. And similar to airplanes, it's a challenge for them to take off unless they have a runway or a good headwind. So, yeah, could you imagine? No wind. They're stuck on land.
So they're just like too heavy to like walk around and shit.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah, even walking is difficult for them because they're so imbalanced and their wings are so massive. It's kind of crazy. Like they're a phenomenon in the air, but an atrocity on the land. Some of them have been known to fly around the world in just 1.5 to 2 months. They are masters at soaring, like I've already said. And they're so good at it that they actually rest and even sleep in the air as they soar. Albatrosses live exceptionally long lives, most for 50 to 60 years, and it's also not unusual for them to live 70, and then like randomly I saw something that even said 80 years. And then on top of it, they still mate. And as Joseph had said in the beginning, they are monogamous, which is really cool.
Very nice, yeah.
Especially 50, 60, 70 years, man. However, here's the interesting thing. Their mating dance actually takes 6 to 7 years to perfect before they even get lucky with their mate. And when they do, they lay only one egg every 1 to 2 years. So all that being said, that last part especially, they're on the threatened species list. I didn't look to see what the population was, though. But I guess they're...
Because that means, well, that list means that like there's not that many. Like you could count,
right?
Like, you can name them all, like Fred and Jerry and stuff.
Not quite that bad, because threatened species is like it's the second to last step before being on, what is it called? The watch list.
The watch list. Endangered species.
Yeah, there's different tiers. Now I'm going to mess it all up, but threatened isn't as bad as like their last legs or wings.
So you can't.
It's a really bad joke. Yeah.
All right, well, so let's talk about the history and mythology of the albatross. Spiritually and mythologically, the albatross has been seen as holding mystical significance for sailors. They were seen as omens of good luck, guiding ships through difficult waters and bringing favorable winds, so harming an albatross was widely believed to bring extremely bad luck. There's an old famous poem by Samuel Taylor Coleridge called The Rime of the Ancient Mariner, published in 1798. And it tells of a ship that is lost at sea until an albatross appears, bringing good fortune and leading the ship out of a difficult fog. But despite this, the mariner of the ship shoots and kills the albatross, and as punishment for killing the bird, the ship becomes cursed. To signify his guilt and the burden he has brought upon them all, the mariner's shipmates force him to wear the dead albatross across his neck. The dead and decaying bird becomes a physical and metaphorical symbol of this terrible deed. And the term, an albatross around the neck, becomes a very well-known and common saying for inescapable burdens and persistent guilt or shame that hinders one's progress or success. So in knowing all of this, it seems absolutely no accident at all that Laura perfectly and beautifully uses the albatross as the symbol of ultimate release and graceful power in overcoming her past traumas, transforming her albatross into a source of strength and beauty, reinforcing the idea that she's achieving absolute or holistic freedom. And also, regardless of whether it was Laura's intention or not, it gives the poem new meaning, where it could be about breathing new life into our own personal albatross and having it fly and release us from its yoke of burden.
Yeah, all the layers. The more I started getting into all the layers, I was so fascinated, which was why I really needed to know Laura. If you're a nerd and you knew all this, how did you know all this? Did you go into this knowing this?
Yeah, it's cool. Like, yeah, even if it was subliminal, the just the depth of symbolism that the albatross holds is pretty cool.
Yeah. All right, so stanza 6. As if I too might swim, as if I too could fly. The powerful conclusion of Laura's poem. And it echoes the tentative opening of as if I could, and shifts into a more confident potential of as if I too might fly or swim. The duality of being in both water and air in complete and adaptable liberation. She doesn't say that she is now doing it, but the potential of doing it is very real and achievable and even limitless. And then actually to go back to what you were saying, or I was thinking, or what we were talking about before, the idea of transformation, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, we
Um,
both talked about transformation.
yeah, that cycle I think is really cool, kind of to, whether she meant it or not, it symbolizes to me that cycle, like it's not a definite answer, but it's a work in progress, or it is definitely a returning cycle.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So, there we have it. You can see why this seemingly short little poem really packs a powerful punch once you unpack it all and dig beneath the surface. And you can probably see why we decided to choose this poem and feature Laura with birds in flight. Yeah, birds in flight for the podcast today. Laura, we want to send you out a huge thank you for gifting us the honor of exploring birds in flight together and with our community here on Substack. And we're so proud to have you as part of our community.
Yeah.
We'll include
very special.
Yeah.
Very special person.
Laura's been writing with us a lot lately, and I only hope it just keeps going. It's really exciting. She's just got such a way with words, I think. And for all of you who don't know Laura, we'll make sure to include her Substack links, and you can find her and follow her publication. It's called The Light Within. So please be sure to check that out and support her by following her. So in closing, we wrap this episode of The Intersections of Saccharum, and we want to sincerely thank you for joining us. And we also want to say thank you to all of our listeners and viewers who tuned in to our first episode and are back again to tune into the second one. And thank you to all of you who are new. We especially want to welcome you. We truly have the most amazing subscribers and followers, and we have the biggest love and gratitude for all of you. So thank you, because we could not do this without you.
Yeah, for sure. And we believe every piece we share with you is a testament to the incredible talent within our community. And we're honored to have this platform to feature it. So thank you.
Yes. We hope you subscribe not only to us, but our featured writers. And if you love what we're doing, please do share our podcast. It's a great way to help us all grow. If you would like us to feature your poem in a next episode, you can send us a DM, either to Joseph or myself, and let us know, or email us at thebroomsedgetribe@gmail.com. And we'll be back with another episode soon.
That's thebroomsedgetribe@gmail.com.